Have you ever felt a sudden shift in your life that felt guided by a higher power? A moment where everything you planned, every dream, every direction, suddenly took a turn you didn't expect? What if that shift wasn't a mistake, but divine redirection? Sometimes God doesn't change your life path because you failed. He changes it because you've outgrown where you were, because He's leading you somewhere your heart doesn't yet understand. Let's be honest, change rarely feels comfortable. When God begins to move things around in your life, it can feel like the ground beneath you is shaking. You lose a job you thought was secure. A relationship ends unexpectedly. Doors that once opened easily suddenly close. And you ask, God, what are you doing? In those moments, it's easy to mistake divine intervention for chaos. But Romans 8:28 reminds us, all things work together for good to those who love God. All things, even the unexpected detours. You see, God's changes often begin as disruptions. He shakes what's familiar to make room for what's divine. You might lose something today, but in heaven's timeline, that loss could be your setup for purpose. Sometimes God will close a door, not because you're not ready to enter, but because what's inside isn't ready for you. That's divine timing, and that's how God protects your destiny. We've all had seasons where we feel lost, where prayers feel unanswered, and our plans fall apart, where it seems like God is silent. But friend, silence isn't absence, it's strategy. In Exodus 14, when the Israelites stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army behind them, it looked like God had abandoned them. But the silence before the miracle was part of the plan. Sometimes your confusion is proof that God is preparing something bigger. Let's talk about real people who've experienced this. There's a woman named Sarah. For years, she dreamed of becoming a doctor. She studied, sacrificed, and prayed, but every door closed. Frustrated, she asked God, why give me a dream if it'll never come true? Then one day, while volunteering at a small community clinic, she met a mother who couldn't afford medicine for her child. That encounter changed her heart forever. Sarah didn't become a doctor. She became a medical missionary, bringing healthcare to hundreds who had none. The path changed, but the purpose remained, and that's how God works. He shifts your direction, not to take your dream away, but to align it with His will. Maybe you're in that stage right now where nothing makes sense. You're wondering, why did God remove that person from my life? Why did He let that door close? Let me tell you, every removal has a reason. Every rejection carries redirection, and every delay hides divine protection. Isaiah 55:8 says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. You don't have to understand the plan to trust the planner. There comes a moment, quiet but powerful, when you realize God wasn't taking something from you. He was preparing something for you. A man once said, I prayed for God to open a door, and He built me an entirely new house. That's how divine transformation works. It breaks the limits of your imagination. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. But every painful season was leading to a divine position. Prime Minister of Egypt. God's path didn't make sense until it did. Surrender is one of the hardest lessons when God changes your life path, because surrender feels like losing control. But in reality, it's where true peace begins. When you finally say, God, not my will, but yours be done, you stop fighting the change and start flowing with divine purpose. Psalm 37 verse 23 says, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. That means even your missteps, even your detours, are part of God's choreography. Here's the truth. Trusting God doesn't mean understanding every step. It means believing that every step has purpose. When you let go of the fear of the unknown, you make room for divine surprises. God can't fill hands that are clenched in fear. He fills hands that are open in faith. So if God is changing your path right now, don't fight it, follow it. He's not breaking your life apart. He's breaking it open. Let me share one of the most powerful stories of transformation. There was a young man named Daniel. He dreamed of being a famous musician. He poured everything into his music, time, money, passion, but nothing worked. Doors closed, opportunities vanished. He fell into depression and began questioning God. Then one night he sat alone praying, Lord, if this isn't my path, show me the right one. The next morning he received a message from his church. They needed someone to help with sound for their services. Reluctantly, he agreed. Weeks turned into months, and soon Daniel discovered something unexpected. His real calling wasn't performance, it was worship. Today he's a worship leader, touching lives across nations. When he followed God's redirection, he found the joy his ambition never gave him. Maybe your story is still unfolding. Maybe you're still in the waiting, the wondering, the wandering. But hear this, Every time God changes your path, He's inviting you to walk closer with Him. He's not punishing you, He's positioning you. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stop asking why and start asking, what now, Lord? Because faith doesn't demand understanding. It simply says, I'll walk even if I can't see the road ahead. Let's summarize what happens when God changes your path. 1. Disruption precedes direction. What feels like loss often hides divine realignment. 2. Silence is not absence. God works most deeply in quiet seasons. 3. Purpose never dies. It evolves. The form may change, but the calling remains. 4. Surrender unlocks peace. Trusting God's hand means releasing your own grip. 5. Every closed door carries protection. If He said no, it's because He's saying not yet or not there. So, have you felt God shifting your path lately? Maybe this is your sign to stop resisting and start trusting. To realize that the change you fear might be the miracle you prayed for. Because when God changes your path, He's not rewriting your story. He's revealing its true ending. Let God lead, let faith rise, and watch how your detour becomes destiny. If this message spoke to your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos on faith, growth, and divine purpose. Share your own story in the comments. Tell us how God changed your life path. And if you're still searching for meaning, watch our next video, How to Walk Daily in God's Will. It will help you take your next step with confidence and peace. Remember, God doesn't just change your direction, He changes you.